Listen, you know what? Let's get right into the portfolio conversation, Crispy Bomb, because here's the thing. This is not a slander conversation. I just been sitting back and watching how Xbox, in my opinion, folks, has turned a corner with the gaming media, has turned the corner even with the most stout opinions. Now, granted, listen, each platform is going to have its trolls. Xbox has them as well, right? I don't know so much about Nintendo because I don't really swim in those waters, but both PlayStation and Xbox have them. And to be quite fair, both of them are gross and egregious at times, right? That's fine. So no matter what game comes out, no matter how good the game is, no matter the critique or the thought and theories from everybody, it's not going to be looked upon as a good game worthy because that's just the way console war works. But we're not here to talk about console war, Crispy Bomb. We're here to point out actual facts. And I like living in that world because, again, everyone has an opinion, and that's great, but it's hard to deny what Xbox has going on. They have, quite frankly, Crispy, the best gaming portfolio in of all platforms, and that goes even for some of the third-party stuff. If you look at like EA, yes, EA has a bunch of really strong IPs. But I mean, they're far and few. The best looking and the most diverse of all portfolios currently right now are all owned and operated by Microsoft. And yes, that includes Activision's IPs, that includes Bethesda's IPs, and that includes Xbox Game Studios. When you consider, Crispy, how many studios are making games, how many games have released this year, how many games are releasing next year, and just think about this for a second. If you want to talk about portfolios, you potentially have a new console coming in 2026. So think about this, folks. This is where I start to say, look towards the future and who is going to be in first place. It's not going to be Sony, and it's not going to be Nintendo. They're going to do what they always do, and they're still going to be in the game. But when you consider the years of the back-to-back years that Xbox is potentially putting together, listen, I don't care. I talked about this yesterday. I don't care how you try and slice it, dice it. 2023 was a solid year for Xbox. When you move into 2024, yes, not every game is for you. There was a bunch of RTS stuff. A guy like Mav, who's in the chat right now, loved them all. There was Age of Empires. There was Aura History Untold. I think there was a second one. You just had StarCraft 1 and 2 remakes added to Xbox Game Pass PC. There was a lot of diversity, and there was a lot of genres that appealed for everyone. And not everyone like me is going to appreciate those because I don't play RTS. So those really didn't hit for me, but that is okay. Then you look to 2025 and you're like, damn. And then you have to say, okay, well, a bunch of new things are happening in 23, 24, 25. But what about 26? What are we looking there? Well, you're looking at potentially a new Halo, a new Gears, and a new Forza. The trilogy, the pillars, if you will, Crispy, are going to be coming back in big new ways on a new piece of hardware. I'm telling you, I think Xbox has turned a corner. And yes, they still need help with their freaking marketing and their messaging for sure. But there is no arguing who has the better portfolio. Let's get your thoughts.
I mean, you got to be honest here. Like, they have so many different games in the pipeline. It's absolutely absurd. And a lot of people, say, "Oh, you're second class" or something. I get them on Game Pass. Yeah, that's cool. Like, even you could say multi-platform and say Doom the Dark Ages. Well, didn't EdTech just show PC people? I see zero complaints about Indiana Jones. might be story or something like that. If I do, nothing to do with the visuals. Think about that.
Yeah.
I follow, and Boom gives me shit about it all the time. Excuse my language, but he does. It says, how don't you block that person? And I say, I'm waiting for them to have my receipt come into fruition. And I have a receipt from you earlier saying, no, 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 no. Oh, this is actually good. Oh, how about that? So here's the problem Sony has. We know they have a proprietary, engine that they use. Okay, we understand that. All right, but you have full on names like the Coalition, Masters of UE. Okay, does anybody really debate that with actual logic? No, they don't. They just get mad. Okay, you have IdTech. IdTech. I mean, anybody played Doom Eternal? Like, that game is incredible. Imagine Doom the Dark Ages. Okay. So we can just go to those two and say, look at that. We have games coming out. Okay. Because Gears E-Day is there. They've talked about it and they've been quiet, which is good. That means they're going for it. They're going for what they think is going to happen. If they were going to pivot, they would do it now because there's so much hype for it. So that's where I say, okay, like, who else do you want to work on UE5? Because everybody's like starting to say, oh, IdTech's exposing UE5. And I'm like, you don't have the right team on that said, service as it really is. But, let's be honest here. We have to look at the future and look at what they're doing. And what they're doing is saying, okay, here's South of Midnight. It's has a cartoony, almost realistic setting. You know what I mean? It has the cartooniness, but then all of a sudden it goes into this realism and it looks incredible. And then people are like, oh, what's that? And then you have Avowed, hate it or love it, whatever people want to think about it. I don't care. I'm the type of person, let's try the game out and see where it is. I've tried a lot of games out. I haven't played more than an hour, and I'm just like, nah, this ain't for me. You know what I mean? But that's what I say. Like, I have that option. How about you, PlayStation fan? Do you have that option? Oh, well, we have a bigger catalog of old games. Oh, I thought we hated old games. I mean, this is what we say. Like Fable, never been interested until, they got the hands on it and said, okay, we're going to change it a little bit. We're going to make it more story driven. That's what I see, at least. But that's the thing. Like, they're remaking games. Think about it. Fable's there, right? Perfect Dark. They're not. What else? What else is the name? Fable, Perfect Dark. They're remaking the game to what they want. Think about that. And they are beloved titles. Both of them. I think, like even Forza Motorsport. That is it. That's what you get.
Yeah.
Okay. And they can bring out DLC and intrigue people again and again and again. Look at Cyberpunk. People are playing Cyberpunk again because they're like, hey, here's this update. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I say, like, there are games that are timeless. Even Call of Duty. Look at that. Call of Duty has been the highest selling game of all time for God knows how many years. Okay, really think about it. Besides GTA, it's them too, as far as
Microsoft
selling a
owns
game.
that, by the way.
So that's where I say, like, people need to relax, understand, and even like Jez put out that little tweet. Which is better marketing? And I say, you know what? Microsoft's always been a software company. They know this. Let's make good software. Flight Sim doing pretty good, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's not spectacular. It's nothing like, hey, like, shout over the roof or something. But I mean, seriously, like, people are playing the games. You know what I mean? And they like really revamp them. It doesn't feel like just like a remaster. That's where I say remake and remaster, two different things. Sorry. Like a remake was Gears Ultimate Edition. That was a remake. They remade that game. Okay, like they put in like the whole multiplayer that was totally different from the original. Okay, like they did all that. That's all that coding and all that stuff. That's a lot of work. And then you look at Halo. Okay, like MCC, it completely revamped itself. They know how to remake an atmosphere, a game, and still keep it true to itself. And I think a lot of people ignore that, but you're about to really see it, especially with new IPs that are really old, like Fable, like Perfect Dark. Let's see that. Let's see how they actually remake a title.
I mean, listen, again, the portfolio speaks for itself. And how do we know that, Infinite Umbra? The June showcase. Now, that June showcase, I think it's safe to say that it's probably the best showcase in the last 20 years. And I'm not just talking about Xbox. I'm talking about go all the way back to with the Year of Dreams with the PlayStation, right? When, of course, you know, they showed all these games, and yeah, it took a lot of those games to come, but they clearly won that E3 at the time. There's just no doubt about it. But this showcase did something that Sony fans are currently waiting for, and that is a God's honest, true to form roadmap for PlayStation Studios. And there's nothing to be found. Now, granted, the Nintendo side of it, Nintendo is going to punch, and they're going to punch super hard. Again, we keep hearing rumors that the Switch 2, we know it's coming out next year, but we keep hearing about that lineup. And it might be 3 or 4 like real true to life bangers for them. You're going to get a new Mario for sure. There's no doubt about it. You might get in the release window, you could get a Smash Brothers. You could get a Mario Kart 9 rather than the 8, just a new skin on it. You could get a bunch of stuff from them. Get something new from Donkey Kong, do something from Pokemon. There's a bunch of things that could possibly happen. There's rumors of a new F-Zero, which I hope to the racing gods that they do a full-on 60 plus frame per second. I'd even love to see if that thing can do 120 frames if you have the TV for it. But we'll see. But the roadmap, Infinite Umbra, the gauntlet, I think, dropped last June. And Microsoft and Xbox having Bethesda, having now Activision, and still on the hunt for others. I got news for you. They keep adding to this portfolio, and I do want to kind of just stress their portfolio. Forget the diversity of it. Just look at the IP that they have. Look at the studios that they have. They are not only hitting on their own platform, they are the biggest freaking third-party platform seller on every other platform. Think about that for a second. All of Sony's biggest games next year are not from first party. They're from Xbox. That is crazy. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Call of Duty next year is going to be big on PlayStation. Doom: The Dark Ages is going to be big on PlayStation. Indiana Jones is going to be big on PlayStation. And if they add another one, and they might, I think it's Starfield. Other people think it's Motorsport. Some people think it's both. Think about that for a second. That would be 4 AAA bangers coming out for PlayStation from Xbox. That shows you how big their portfolio is. Pause. Infinite Umbra, let's talk about portfolio and who has the biggest. Once again.
Well,
You know.
Listen, I mean, it's not even a question. Portfolio wise, we already know Xbox trumps PlayStation when it comes to that. It's not even a question. It's just a statement of fact. As far as roadmaps, it's also a statement of fact that Sony has none that we know of yet, and while Xbox does. And because of the portfolio Xbox has, that's the way they can afford to do it. So you can give them credit for better planning when it comes to that too. But you could also point to past things that never came, I guess, to use your word, fruition, that they're now finally piecing together to come together with now, right? So it's a lot of fortunate things that's happened for Xbox in that regard to get them where they're going to be going, and some unfortunate things for PlayStation. Largely, them making the specific type of games they make and cutting out a lot of the diversity they used to celebrate. I think has kind of left them so it's pardon the expression, a bit of a one-trick pony. So now they don't, those games that they're making take years to make. So what comes in between? They don't have that. Xbox has the diversity to do both, and that's the beautiful thing about it. I mean, as far as if we're talking about just this year and the next year alone, we already have Indiana Jones. We already have Stalker 2 that launched. Of course, it's not first party, but you know what I mean. I'm just talking specifically exclusive to the console. Then you have next year starting up. Obviously, now I still have my doubts about Fable dropping next year, but it could very well drop next year. Either way, it's still in that roadmap. You still have South of Midnight dropping next year. We still have Doom.
Avowed kicks it off in
Avowed.
February.
You know what I mean? So, and of course, what else was the other one? I had in my mind.
Well, you have Call of Duty for sure.
Call of
and again,
Duty is
the
always,
rumor
yeah.
is that's going to be a sequel to Black Ops 2. That's the rumor, right?
Yeah, all of those things, and it's another one of them. Clockwork Revolution is
again, and see that there are a couple of outliers here, Infinite that that I think that, and that's one of them. Again, I is how close is that game? I have no idea, but they keep talking about it. In Exile, when they do some of the best, Twitter commercials with their Taco Tuesday craziness and everything that they do, and they keep talking up this game. I think look. I don't want to get into what my prediction is because I want to get your guys and I'll throw mine in there. But I think that we're going to see that game sooner than later. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. I honestly believe Clockwork Revolution is dropping next year.
Yep.
Now that's the funny thing. I think that's dropping next year,
and Fable get pushed.
Going pushed back, right?
Yeah,
that's my thinking. Because Clockwork, when you all remember when they showed it, it looked polished as hell then.
Yeah.
So I know that's not something we could just say, well, it looks good. So that, but still, it just looked really ready. Honestly, it looked like it was well past. To me, it looked like it's in the last stages of production, but that's just me. Everwild is another one. I see Ninja Squirrel mention it. I thought about that, but now they're still working on that. We know they had some changes as far as leadership of who's running it. So I don't know what to say on that. I mean, I'm still confused on that when it comes to that too. James mentioned 33 Immortals. That's another one that still have to come out. We have what is it, Towerborn, that still has to drop officially. So it's a lot when you look at their roadmap, and there's many more that we're going to be introduced to next year. So it's a beautiful time, I think, where things are starting to come into place for Xbox when it comes to that. Next year probably will be about 4 or 5 different titles that drop. That's excellent. That's exactly what they were aiming for. And to add to that, on top of the Game Pass deals they'll be getting with third party, you can't ask for much more if you're being fair. And I think so. When it comes to that, Xbox has that down. What they have to do is make sure that they get quality out there, right? It's one thing on the quantity, but we got to make sure we keep knocking out. They got to keep knocking out. I keep saying we, but like I'm with them. But you know what I mean?
No, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean by that.
They have to keep knocking out the quality. Indiana Jones is a quality title, and in which I underestimated. I thought it was going to be like an 80 rank. I thought the text was going to get it harder than it did, and it ended up being an 87 or whatever. So that right there, and the surprise. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised because Machine Games is good. I shouldn't have been surprised by that, but. So I think they just have to focus on not just the quality, but the quantity, but the quality. So I just want them to make sure that regardless of anything else, they take their time to get their games out. Contraband is another one. That's right. I don't know what the heck happened to Contraband though. That just kind of, they just kind of stopped talking about it. So I don't know. Hopefully they can get that situated and get that out there too. I remember. Let me be quiet. Let me stop myself before I get myself in trouble. Anyway, I'm just wondering what happened with Contraband. That aside, yeah, if we're talking about Also, I think what was it? Oh, you also have what was that?
Stop beating around
Project
the bush.
Maverick from People Can Fly. That's another one. But
Yes.
speaking of People Can Fly, I don't know if you all saw the news where they've had to lay some people off now. They have to reduce in size. They just announced it maybe about 20 minutes ago.
Oh wow, really? I didn't even hear that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that could affect that negatively too.
Because it's done.
Yeah, and Will Broke Boy Lewis, that's right. Mag did speak on that. And so Mag definitely has those connects. And yeah, and they were play testing and everything else like that. So I don't know where they're at now with it. And I know that I'm sure they didn't kill it or anything. It's a lot invested into
Oh
that.
no, I can tell you for a fact. That's all I'm going to say about it. They have not killed it. That I can say with full authority. Yeah.
Hopefully next year we'll see something about that at the show. Then of course we got what Project Mara you still have going on with the Ninja Theory. It's a lot.